Hey guys, so I thought I'd just do a quick run over how to operate roulette as a croupier. So roulette I think is going to be one of the most well known and probably the most popular game on the casino night because most people know how it works, could walk up to it, start playing it straight away without any problems at all. The main thing with roulette is the actual management of the table and the odds. That's the most complicated bit about running roulette itself. First thing to mention about roulette is that when it comes to the chips, unlike some of the other games, each of the chips is going to be worth a fixed value. So each chip will be worth £5, regardless of what is actually printed on it. Because what you're going to do in this game is each player that comes to the table, each new player that comes to the table, you are going to give them a different colour of chips to the ones that somebody else has already got around the table. That allows multiple people to bet on the same places and you don't get the bets mixed up in terms of whose chips are whose. Just go through a quick little explanation of the table itself and the odds on it. So when it comes to the odds, there's only a few different odds available to you here. Starting off with the easiest to win, which is a 1-to-1, so doubling their money. That is going to be betting on either red or black, because the odds are almost 50-50. You've got betting on even or odd number, again almost 50-50. And you've got betting on 1 to 18 and 19 to 36, again almost 50-50 odds for that as well. I say almost 50-50 because if you look at the roulette wheel here, all roulette wheels will have a single zero and sometimes even a double zero on here, and that is how the casino gets its edge, and ultimately the house wins if people play long enough and enough money circulates on the game itself. You've also then got other odds available to you, which are 2-to-1, which are first 12, so that's the first 12 numbers here, the second 12 numbers and the third 12 numbers. Or you've got 2-to-1 here for this column, 1 down to 34, this column 2 down to 35, and this column 3 down to 36. They can bet on those there. They can also bet on numbers themselves. So there's various different options for betting on numbers. They can bet on a single number. They make sure it's dead centre as far as that's concerned. And that is an odds of 35-to-1. So ultimately they're going to get 35 times their bet and their bet back, which is essentially 36 times on that one. They can bet on two numbers by putting clearly in the middle of two numbers. That's an odds of 17-to-1. They can bet on three numbers by going across the edge there, which is going to give them odds of 11-to-1. And they can go in the corner of four numbers, which will give them odds of, I can't remember, 8-to-1 on that one there. You're going to have the little player aid, which is going to be available for everyone, including the croupier, to make reference to as well. People can bet on the 0 as a single number. They can bet between the 0 and the 1 and the 0 and the 2 as a 2-number bet. They can even bet on the corner there as a 3-number bet. Just make sure nobody bets on the 00 because there is no 00 on this roulette wheel. Another thing to mention when it comes to the zeros don't count in the 1 to 18, which is why it's 1 to 18. Don't count in the first 12 and also don't count on these either. So if this person bets on here or here, just because this reaches up to the 0 still doesn't count as far as that one's concerned. So chip management. So when it comes to chip management, what I would recommend that you do, and this is how I'll set it up on the night to start off with, is each of the colours, there's lots of different colours available. As I say, this is probably going to be one of the most popular games. But what you're going to do with each colour is start off by setting it up with 4 stacks of 10 chips. So you know each stack is 10, and therefore you also know that each stack is £50. And what I would recommend that you do with that is when a new player comes to the table, I would give them 2 stacks of chips. And there is a reason why for that I'll come to a little bit later on. So 2 stacks of chips is going to be 100. So you'll have their check. You'll deduct 100 off it, more on that in a different game, and you will give them 2 stacks of chips. So let's say that we have 3 players that decide to come to the table, like so. You now open up betting for everybody, so they can now place their chips where they want. And as far as their chips are concerned, they can literally place them wherever they like. So some people do like to sort of stick to one area. Some people like to do a bit of littering around. So let's just do a bit of randomness here. Let's say yellow's got a hunch that it's going to be a low number, so they're going to go there. You've got grey that's maybe feeling a little bit more conservative, and they want to bet more on the ones that are going to give them slightly better chances of winning, but just lower winnings. And then finally, let's go with reds here as well. So let's go with, for red, they're feeling more the lower numbers. Fancy a little go on 0, just to see what comes up with 0. They're just going to stack it around here, and let's have a little go on odd as well. In fact, red's going to use a few more of their chips, like so. So is yellow and red as well. So let's go for grey. Just let them bet wherever they like. Like so. Next thing to do before you actually close the bets is just have a quick scan of the board and make sure you're happy that everything is on a very clear location. So this one here, this silver here, is running across onto the 0, so just check with the player what do they actually want to do with that. So they may go, oh yeah, I forgot there wasn't a double 0, I'll take that back. This one here is a bit ambiguous as to where that's meant to be. Where do you want that? Oh, I wanted that on the 22. Great, that's fine. This one here, again, a little bit ambiguous as to where that one is. I meant that to go on the third 12. So just have a quick look at the table just to make sure you're happy that everything is in a clear space. This one's a bit ambiguous as well. Where did you want that? Actually, that wanted to be there, and so on and so forth. So that's the first thing to do. Then make it clear that you're going to be closing bets. So they've got a couple more seconds, and then you say bets closed. Nobody's allowed to make any changes. They can't add any more chips on. They can't remove any chips from the board either. What you're then going to do is you're going to then do your roulette wheel. So when it comes to the roulette wheel, there's no hard and fast rule on how you do the roulette wheel. General rule is that you send the ball round the opposite direction to which you spin the centre part. That just allows it to do a little bit of bouncing around, a little bit of suspense there as well. The way I do it is I send the centre part going anti-clockwise. Now this is a really good roulette wheel, so don't give it a good old whack of the spin like that, because you will be standing here for ages waiting for that to finish. All you want to do is just give it a little touch like that. It will roll for a while, and then what I then do is I then send the ball going round the outside like so. Just let it finish. Once everybody's satisfied, they can see what it is. You can slow it down if you wish to, and then you announce to everybody what it is. So in this case here, you would say 23 red odd. You will also then take this little marker here, and you will then place it on the number that it actually landed on. Next thing for you to do is you now sweep off the board. Just be a little bit careful when you do this to make sure you don't sweep something you shouldn't do. Sweep off the board everything that hasn't won. So we see it's a red, so that's fine. We can see it's an odd, that's fine. It's in the second 12, so that's fine, but this one doesn't win. We can see that it's on that column, so this one doesn't win. We can see that it's in this column. It's not in this column. These are all in this column, so they don't win either. So just stick them off to the side. It's not 0. Stick that off to the side. And then when it comes to the numbers, you can see where they are. So we can see it's not touching these ones. So they're all coming off. We can also see that that one is a single number, so that's coming off as well. Those ones are touching, that's fine. So these ones are also all coming off, like so. Leaving the winning spaces up on the board here. So now you then deal with these in order, and do it in whichever order you like, but I would have a methodical process in terms of how to do it. So first of all, I'm going to go for this one down here. So we've got our reds. So that is going 1 for 1 on that one. Now 1 for 1's nice, easy if you've got a big stack like this. What you can do is you can take a stack of their chips, which is similar colour. Use the ones that are already set up, just to make things easier for you if you can. That's why you had some spare left over here. Run your finger carefully across it, so you know you've got an even number, and you know that one is now done. You've got odds is also 1 for 1. We can see that's 3. We can quite easily cover that one. This one is 2 for 1 on this one, so they're going to get 2 times plus their bet back. So you can do it either way. You can see it's 2, so they're going to be getting 2 for 1 on that one. So for every 1 there, they're going to get 2. So for 2, they're going to get 4. So give them 4 on that there. You've then got these 2 corner ones here, which are slightly more complicated. So when it comes to these ones, you have got a win on the 4 corners. So a win on the 4 corners is an 8 to 1. So they've got 2 each on those. So 8 to 1, they're going to be getting 16 chips for each of those there. Now there's a couple of ways that you can deal with this. You can give them literally 16 chips for each of them if you're quite happy that you've got your 16 chips available to you here. But what you will also do is you'll have a separate colour which you won't be giving to players. So I'm using black on this occasion here. I'll make it clear on the night which one to use as 10s. So for this one here, you can see that they're going to get 16. So I could go 10 and then add another 4, 5, 6 onto that. So that gives them their 16. Just make them aware that they've got a black which counts as 10. And then this one also gets 16 as well. So we might do the same for them. So we will then go for 10 and then add another 6 onto that one as well. So that gives them their 16 there as well, and just point out to them that they have got a black 10 there as well. If multiple people have bet in the same location and you're using blacks, just move them slightly around just to make it clear to everybody whose winnings are whose. At that point, you can now open another round of betting. Now what I would suggest is give people the opportunity to take their own chips back, because what some people like to do in this game is do what's called let it ride. So they might decide that they're going to leave some or all of their bets exactly where they were last time to see if that happens to win again. So they can make that decision on that side of things. So they are now all happy. They're now all dealing with their bets again at that point. So while they're doing that, then you can now manage your chips that you've got here. So keep track of when you've got stacks of 10, so that's those there, and when you haven't got stacks of 10, you're going to deal with all of the chips that you've swept off the board, and whilst people are making their bets, you will deal with these, and where you can, turn them back into piles of 10 again. This just makes things easier for you to manage it as the game goes on. And whilst they're making their bets, you don't have to be watching what they're doing. They can put their bets where they want. So whilst we're doing all of this, they're then making their next bets. They're all even there now. And that's it really, because whilst you're busy doing that, they'll have been busy then putting their chips out onto the board. And then you go through the same process again. So again, you'd have a quick scan of the board, see if there's anything that's been placed out that you don't think actually is a valid space, or it's a bit ambiguous as to where they've bet, and ask them where they actually meant it to be. Say to people that the betting is about to close, give them a few seconds, betting is now closed, nobody can change anything else on the board, and you go back to spinning the roulette wheel again. And that is roulette.